I think,
Now
I
streaming.
think, I think we are live. I think we are live. So I'm going to change the view like that, and I will. Oh, I think we are live. So welcome everyone. I think we've done it.
We've done it.
Third time lucky behind the scenes. So for anyone who thinks, oh wow, it's why does Facebook Live never work for me? We feel your pain today, but thankfully we have managed to make it in third time lucky, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome back onto the Salonology channel, Valerie Delforge. Valerie, good morning.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be part of your live today. Really excited to be discussing some key issues that we've encountered over the past few days.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because just when we kind of thought the madness couldn't get any madder, it's kind of all gone a bit crazy again. So we thought it would be a good time to maybe put our heads together and try and help a few people out who are in a bit of a funk right now, because I think a few people are licking their wounds and feeling a little bit sorry for themselves. Would you agree?
Yeah, and it's completely understandable. It's been a roller coaster, right? The whole closure has been a roller coaster. The furloughing, every week is bringing something new, and obviously over the past, the reopening seems to be even more painful than the closure in some respect. And I think all I can hear at the moment, Ryan, really, this with the whole negativity and we hold all the kind of things that have been said and are said, is we are very passionate people. We are very passionate people, and it comes in and is oozing out. I've been listening to a lot of webinars, I've been listening to a lot of lives, following a lot of key influencers as well in the industries, and it's the passion is there. The passion is there, but like anything, the passion can sometimes consume us in the wrong way. And that's what's happened when we are passionate. We just really want everything to be a certain ways, and we don't understand. And it's just that consuming of the mindset and the day-to-day. And this is what we've been talking about, isn't it? When we kind of connected.
Absolutely. And I think that the mindset is just so important. I know we do talk about it a lot, but it really is so important, because times like this do kind of test that mentality and give you a bit of a shake, and it almost like strips you back to almost like the core of your mentality, if you like, because when we see these constant messages and we almost feel like it's chipping away at us all of the time, it can be difficult to maybe keep on that brave face perhaps. So it definitely something which is going to be, as I say, a testing time for many. But also I think as well, it's also been a time for true leaders of their businesses to be able to stand up, to be able to be held accountable, but also so that, staff and teams around you, they've got to look up to you, right? So if you're the figurehead of your business, which obviously most people are, even if you've only got a team of one person, then still people are looking up to you for guidance and for leadership. And this is why it's so important to remain strong even during testing times. Would you agree?
100%. And that's the whole point of leadership. Leadership is being able to ride the waves of what's happening within your environment. And obviously at the moment, we simply have no control about what the government is kind of guiding us. So there's that feeling of unfairness. We know it's not fair. It's this whole kind of energy around the what's happening. So it's completely understandable that you are, or a lot of us are feeling kind of frustrated. It's a frustration. Why are the hairdressers able to open? Why are the pubs opening? We're not, we're the last one. And we want to be on that mission. And great, let's be on that mission. For sure, we need to have a voice in that industry. But making sure as a leader that it's not affecting you in the core of of what you're doing. Because if it's like that, that means it's going to reflect in how you're talking to your customer, how you're talking to your staff, how you're talking to yourself. And the minute that happens is the minute kind of, you become too consumed by that. And throughout all of the last few days that's been happening, I want to talk about nurturing. nurture your team, nurture your client, nurture your mindset. Let's nurture what's going on around you. Yes, go and do all the bits and pieces that, the campaigns that are happening. I know Pro Beauty is doing and UK Spa Association doing the campaign on, let's send a letter to the MP, let's have a voice. Great, do that, be part of that, be part of what you believe, but also be very, very mindful about you and how you're coping with that. And I think that's where we're on the same wavelength, isn't it, Ryan?
Oh, 100%. I think that, as you say, it's like, right, what can I do that is, as you say, represents my values and how I feel, but also in a positive and constructive way. As you say, going and writing a letter to your MP, constructive. Going on a Facebook group and moaning and bitching and slagging off everyone else, not constructive. And not only is it not constructive, but it can be overwhelming to the fact that then it can ruin your whole day and your whole week. And you see so many of these, a lot of the people seem to be going around with almost like a rain cloud over their head. And then sort of every single bit of news or everything they see, they're then taking it on board as almost like a personal attack. And it's kind of, I think a lot of people feel, which by the way is not a viewpoint I agree with, that our industry is being victimized, attacked, almost singled out almost. And me personally, I don't think that is the case. And I'm not sure it's a helpful way to think either. And it's easy to feel like that because it's almost like there's been lots of little pop shots along the way, but I think that when you have that victim mentality, it can overflow into everything that you do. And right now, as you say, you need this positivity as best you can and do the things that you can control, not what you can't, particularly for, as you say, your team, but also your clients. Some of the posts which I've seen people putting on their pages, both work, and personal ones, some of them are, I wouldn't, if I was the client and I saw that, I wouldn't be them breaking down your door to come and do business with you, And I think sometimes we forget that in the heat of the moment because we're all emotional. It's an emotional industry, isn't it? It's, it's all about making people feel great and look great. And that's so important. And if sometimes it can overflow elsewhere. And I think that sometimes we need to just think twice before you hit publish,
I mean, and you know what, you hit it in some respect that we should be the priority as an industry. We are the wellness industry. We are the beauty industry that makes people feel better. We are an extremely strong industry in terms of when there are, crises. We're very, very strong industry. And we're there to support our clients and everything else. But to me, what is highlighted, and by all means, we kind of do want to take questions today, and we want to kind of answer any questions that you have whilst we're talking. But to me, it's highlighted one key thing. And as a leader, I like to take a step back and analyze the situation. I just want to step back and analyze and look at the situation in all angles, every single angle, 360, and then make my decision. And that's always the way I function through managing my staff, through managing my personal life, through managing everything that I want to go through. I'm going through. So, really analyzing that situation and understanding, okay, this is the government. They've decided we can't open. So why is that? Why is it that we can't open? What is the core of this situation? And to me, it's been obvious that we're not regulated as an industry. We have no regulation. We're not like the doctors, the chiropodists, the chiropractors, the dentists. They have regulations. The restaurants have hygiene regulations. We don't have any of that. And the whole thing for the past few days has highlighted, actually, if we were regulated, we would not be in these situations, because I do a lot of visits and not everyone is on the high standards that we want them to.
No, I would say that's probably the understatement of the week right there. Because also as well, I think that you probably also only see that topper end spectrum as well. And I mean, I've lost track, and I'm sure you have, of the number of posts of, XYZ person who clearly doesn't care about anything or their fellow human has been open for weeks and they've been doing it throughout. and almost it's like, well, you don't need to compare yourself with them, because they're hopefully at a completely different end of the spectrum to what people within our worlds are trying to achieve and what everyone should want to aspire to. But I do think that definitely this has brought forward, I mean, because look, there's a lot of confusion, isn't there? There's been so much confusion, right? Everyone was begging for the government industry guidelines. They finally came out, and then straight away that then brought up 50,000 other questions. You know, is this me because? That's not me, but how come they doing this? And then followed them by various association bodies giving their own sets of guidelines. And it's almost like, then it becomes almost analysis paralysis for people, because they're like, well, which ones am I supposed to be following? I'm almost more confused now than I was when I had no guidelines. And I just think that, as you say, for me, one of the things this has just highlighted more than anything is that there is a need for some form of centralized regulation, and not only regulation, but also, I think, representation for our industry as well. I mean, you know, why don't we have people who are able to get the correct resolutions and answers at national and governmental level? And I'm not knocking anyone that is trying to make inroads toward that, by the way. I'm just saying that as an industry, could more not be done? You know, I mean, if to use again, a lot of people, as you say, we're up in arms because, oh my God, pubs can open, okay? And outside of the debate of whether or not pubs should be open or not, you can bet your bottom dollar that the alcohol industry as a whole, I'm sure, have been investing lots of £1 million of, you know, lobbying government, lobbying politicians, making sure their voice doesn't go unheard, outside of the fact that they, you know, they obviously contribute billions in duty. So it's, you know, the government need to get their money from somewhere, right? And I don't want it to get political, but I do think that we could be doing more as an industry. I think this has kind of highlighted that for me in many ways.
And I think the frustration, for sure, and I think the frustration really has been that the communication from the government has been sporadic, it's been up and down, it's been, you know, I've even invited Boris to my leadership courses because I thought, come on, Boris, we need more communication.
I love that. Is he coming? Are you expecting him to arrive?
Answer yet, you know. And don't get me wrong, with the government, I always kind of feel, you know, we are at the mercy of what they're doing, and it's typical with Brexit, it's typical of we've really at the mercy of what they're doing to some respect. So as a leader of your own business, and because you probably have different elements of your health and safety and all of that, you're probably on a higher standards. You know, I see places that are not. I see places where, you know, we don't have the hygiene that we should do. And when we started looking down, I did a video on YouTube, it's still available, on hygiene standards. And that was just the basic ones. That wasn't even the COVID one. Let's get the basic one up and running, and then we can go on to the whole COVID. So in terms of, you know, going back to the hygiene and to everything else, when we're talking about the pub and that anger, why can't they open and everything else? Yes, they had representation for sure, but also they're not dealing with one staff member per client. You know, they're going to have a limited team. They're going to have procedures when they're opening. 2 people going to the pub, sharing drinks, going to the toilet, that's their kind of way. It's consenting adults, basically. They're just going there, and there is their risk. And the government from day one has very much, well, if you want to go out, you can, you know, but it's your risk, isn't it? When you deal with one therapist in a room, not ventilated necessarily, or even ventilated, and we don't even know if that's good or not, and we have the skin on the bed, we're dealing with the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, we're dealing even with pedicures, you're dealing with the skin, you're dealing with all sorts of different elements. You know, it's a different industry, we cannot compare.
No.
And if any case, we've got as an industry to raise those standards. So when we do open, we're showing our clients, we're showing our staff, we're showing the world, like, look, we are on that high level and we now need that regulation. So that's the voice that needs to come out for me. So,
couldn't agree more.
The positivity around that is like, you know what, I'm listening to everything. I'm going to take what I need to take from it. but also I'm going to do what I believe is right for my business. So if you listen to anything, you need to listen to the government guidelines. I personally, if I had my salon, I would phone the local authority to see if they have some guidelines. I would phone my insurance. Do I tick all my guidelines on my insurance to make sure that if something happens, am I ticking everything? I would nurture my team. So are they comfortable? In none of it, we've been talking about how are the therapists comfortable coming back to work in a certain environment. So we've got to go back to that basics. Yes, be that voice, but make sure that you're nurturing what you feel is comfortable for your business. That for me is very, very important. So we can't compare two industries that are very different when you're on a one-to-one basis with a client. You know, that's a different ball game altogether as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I agree absolutely. There's seldom any benefit from comparing apples with oranges, is there?
Yes, yeah.
We've got to compare like with like, but also I feel, as you say, I'm totally behind you with that call for better regulation, or any regulation would be good. But because it's always kind of struck me as a little bit bonkers how easily and how low the barriers to entry are into an industry, which, if done wrong, can cause people all sorts of damage, right?
That goes back to education, isn't it, Ryan? When you see all the education that's been happening for years, we can have on one day we can be a waxer, on one day we can do a nail course. That's just not right, and we've been allowing that, you know, for a long time. So personally, I want to campaign on let's get those regulations and those high kind of standards that we all deserve, and that you all do. I know you all do. But it needs to be heard and it needs to be regulated for something like that not to happen again. So nurturing your mindset and the way you function is definitely the most essential out of everything that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. So let's talk a little bit about the return, because one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that there is, again, lots of noise in terms of what do I need, what I don't, and do I not need to do, you know. And I think the whole issue of people accept a Facebook post in a random group as some sort of like government mandate, you know, the post that starts, oh, someone down the road from me said, which is kind of a bit akin to the, you know, how you used to start stories of, well, a man down the pub told me, you know, and it's like, well, you don't need to believe that as being gospel necessarily, but how would you think, or how could you help people, let's say, with how can they, you know, cut through that noise to make sure that they're safe and comfortable, I guess, in their own minds more than anything, with, you know, feeling that they're doing the right thing, shall we say?
It goes back to the customer journey, and it always goes back to the customer journey. And sometimes with all those talks that's been happening, actually 4 weeks ago, I've had quite a few people calling me saying, Valerie, you're really quiet about the opening. Why are you not saying anything? And it was like, because I'm waiting for the government guideline. There's no point me speculating on anything until we've got the guidelines. We've now got them. Make sure that this compares to what the customer journey is in your salon or your spa. What happens? Who's at reception? Is there a receptionist? Can we just make sure the therapist is completely taking care of the whole customer journey if possible? Can we, you know, what is that journey, and is it ticking all of the health and safety you believe and you've seen on the guidelines are correct? And if we look at the guidelines compared to what we've been working on, to be honest, they are quite easy in some ways, isn't it? They've got
a lot of it is stuff that you would hope people would be doing anyway, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they're already there. So, you know, it's then down to your common sense. I've been talking about, you know, to my members, I was saying, don't invest in the visors thing, the dividers. We don't know if they're going to be legal or not. It's going to be a waste of money. Some of them have done it purely because they wanted to for their staff, and they talked to their staff, and the staff was feeling more comfortable with them, and they talked to the clients, and they had this kind of, you know what, I've bought them, they feel comfortable with it. Fine, do what you feel is comfortable, as long as you've analyzed your customer journey, you've analyzed your budget, which is really the heart of it all, and you know how many clients you need to survive on a daily basis. So it's kind of all of this, and you as a leader will make You will make up your own decision as long as you're ticking the insurance, the local government kind of guidelines. I know there's some councils that are much stronger than others on that. And as long as you've got the government guidelines, don't listen to everything.
No,
You
absolutely.
do take it with a pinch of salt. Yeah, inquire, but take it in a pinch of salt.
I think that that's probably quite a good, a good overview for social media and life in general, not just about this topic. You know, it's akin to believing everything you read scribbled on a toilet wall. Some of it might be true, most of it probably isn't. You know, you've got to, but I think therefore you have to be smart enough to be able to filter some of that noise out. And as you say, be careful who you listen to. Do your own research, but also I think you have to do what you're comfortable with, because
Yes.
as you say, it's not like a cookie cutter. It's not the same for absolutely everyone. Some people, as you mentioned there, they might want to do extra levels because they want their staff to feel extra comfortable or whatever it might be. Now, let's not knock those people for doing that. That's
No.
their decision as a business owner, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And do you know what? It to me showed not only the past few days we need regulation, but it also shows we are such a varied industry. It's never a one size fit all. It
Yeah,
never is, because you might have someone who is in your business as a freelancer. You might have people that are employed. You might have people that you might open on certain days for older kind of clientele. You might just only do high-end services, and you might, so it's varied. This, you might be a spa, you might not be able to do the steam. It's completely varied. And that's why it's so difficult in some respect to regulate, because we have got so many. So you as an owner, as a leader, have got to take a step back, read the government guidelines, know them inside out, highlight the ones you are not sure about perhaps, and start researching. Is this legal? Is this not? Typical example, yesterday I had a text message from one of my members. She said, oh, on a certain website, it said, if with the deposits, if a customer says they have COVID and they can't attend, or they have symptoms of COVID, they can't attend their appointment, I have to refund them. They don't, I can't keep their money. I said, where is this written on the guideline? Where is this coming from? And she didn't know. There's nothing on the guideline that said it's a legal requirement to refund the money. So I said, well, it's how you put it across to your client. Or you do perhaps is say to on your policies, if you have symptoms, what we'll do is we'll keep them for your deposit for your future appointments. That's it.
yeah.
So we're taking something as gospel, when really, is this just a guideline or is this the law? And making up your mind for what suits your business and your customer journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about clients again then, because we touched on it a little bit there. Let's not forget that a lot of clients are going to be excited to come back, yes, but also just as confused. Some of them are going to be a bit scared, probably, or certainly they're going to be, cautious, let's say. Again, most of them won't have access to all the information that we've had access to. They won't be parts of the groups. They won't be in the same world and space that we are, and therefore they won't have been educated in quite the same way. So how can people watching this today, Valerie, how can they help to get the message over to the clients? Because again, I can sense it coming. Those that aren't prepared and organized well enough, it's not going to look good on the first day they open, and it's just bedlam and just carnage, and no one knows where they're supposed to be going or what they're doing. So what steps can we take to help educate the clients, and also, I guess, the staff as well?
I think, again, it goes back to that nurturing. I really want to, I don't know why that word kept coming back to me over the past few days. We need to talk about nurture. It's all about, I want to give a great big hug to my clients and making them feel secure. Same for my therapist and for, everyone that works around me, and making sure that, they're comfortable and they're relaxed in the environment, because it is a new normal. It is very different from what it was. So, videos. I've got some people who are doing VIP Facebook groups, so they're really starting to talk to their VIPs. We've got a lot of my actually all my members doing a team meeting before the opening to go through everything. Some of them actually have organized kind of a VIP special day purely on kind of testing a little bit the customer journey on the clients they really know. And I think that's quite clever on that first day, getting those really clients that we know and we trust and they trust you. But, showing the client what's going to happen, maybe do a little video of this new customer journey, maybe, do a little email to them and explain what you're doing, but don't go on that bandwagon of that negativity, because if you show that negativity in some respect to your clients, is that reassuring? It's not. So we need to talk about reassuring, nurturing. Look, this is what we do. Look, this is the step we've taken. Look, this is how you're going to come for your appointment from now on. And do videos.
I've seen, yeah, absolutely, totally agree with that. I've seen some absolutely brilliant videos, actually, from some of my clients, some of the people who aren't my clients, who have done absolutely wonderful videos, which will not only educate and some of them actually entertain probably their clients, but also, this is also then put out there so that people who aren't yet your clients, who maybe, let's not forget, some salons haven't made it through this. Some won't be reopening again. Some are going to decide, and this is their decision, and that's fine, they're not going to maybe reopen until the end of the year. I've seen some people say they're not going to be comfortable for a long time yet, and that's fine. But then again, these videos educating people, not only their own clients, but also actually it might attract some of the future clients as well. Because again, it's putting your own business in a much, much more positive spin. Even if your blood is boiling under the surface, I think that can't come out to your clients. Certainly not if you want to be attracting people in, because who's going to want to get around that, from a client perspective?
And this is why, when we've been doing budgets and everything else, there was this big talk at one point, I'm not going to do lip wax because it's going to be a waste of my time and waste of money, and I'm not going to do eyebrows and they have to buy more. And I'm like, okay, fine, but how is the message coming across? It might be okay for your existing clients, but what about your new clients that are searching for that high-end premises that you have, that have got high standards and deliver high treatments? So you're basically telling me as a new client, no, sorry, we don't want your money unless you're spending for half an hour. And I'm just like, in all of the talks we've had, we've forgotten about the clients and the client journey and how they feel. Now, you're in charge of your diary. You don't have to put, now, if your diary is only eyebrows or only lip wax, then there's there's an issue somewhere and we need to talk about that. But you're in charge of your diary. To have one or two new clients that want that small treatment, to potentially see how you operate and see how comfortable they are with you, why not? We've got to start accepting the fact that, you have got, and really nurturing your mindset on, I am high end. I want to attract as many new clients as possible, as much as nurturing my existing clients. And by that, you're in charge of your diary. You're in charge of what you want to create. So therefore, there is no wasted money. No. It's not wasting. If any case, you're going to gain more from it.
Well, absolutely. And also, I think the other thing to consider with that as well is that, yes, the first 2 or 3 weeks everyone opens is going to be bonkers for everybody, right? As everyone is scrambling for appointments. But I think we have to remember that maybe we need to look ahead a little bit more further than that. As a business owner and planning your business out, it's a bit naive just to look at the first 2 weeks and think, well, I'm going to be bonkers because I've got a waiting list of 100 people. Okay, that's great. But what are you then going to be doing to make sure they continue to keep coming back? Especially, as you say, these new people that might be trying you out for the first time. I've said this from day one, and I still believe it now. This has still been a huge opportunity for many, many salon owners. I know it's been hard for having to close, of course, but there have still been wonderful opportunities within it. I've seen some amazing refits. That they probably would never even have contemplated doing it had they not been closed. Yes. They've seen other people looking to really, I guess, reevaluate their business and say, actually, this has made me realize I want to spend more time with my children. I want to spend more time with my family. I don't want to work Saturdays anymore. Maybe I want to pick the kids up from school and reassess what working life looks like moving forward. And had this happened, none of that would ever have taken place. They would have just, you know, carried on in the hamster wheel, as we like to say. So I do think there have been certain positives. And I also believe that, as I say, it is still going to be an opportunity for many, many salon owners who have got their heads up enough to actually see those opportunities and not with their heads down, still having a bit of that pity party. Because I think that you've got to try and focus on the opportunities and positives, because the alternative to doing that is not really worth considering, in my opinion.
100%. And I think it's, you know, if you really are struggling financially, if you really are in that really heavy duty place, which I talk a lot, you know, I do talk a lot to people, to business owners who are in a difficult situations. Let's analyze, let's find solution, and having that solution finding mindset as to what are my options. There's always options in what you do, always.
Yep.
So what are my options? Sometimes it's having difficult conversations. I'm like, do you know what? I don't think you're going to survive. Or do you know what? I think we need to do X, Y, and Z. So really kind of stripping down the business to rebuild it to what you want, or perhaps not doing that. You know, perhaps it is a time to look at something else. How many people have I spoke to, you know, over this lockdown saying, I don't want to go back to what I had. Oh my God. For the first time ever, and for the first time ever, it is going to be a little bit like a house market, you know, a buyer or a seller's dream. For the first time ever, the balances are going back to the salon owner. Yep. You as a salon owner are going to have far more power than you used to. You're going to be able to pick and choose the brands. You're going to be able to pick and choose what you want, to negotiate more. You have CVs. I've had CVs last week, surrounded with CVs. I've not even, launched anything on recruitment. I'm having CVs, quality CVs, for the first time in a long time. You are now going to be, as a business owner, far more in control than you believe. At the moment, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we're spiraling down, but actually you are in a so much better position potentially if you keep it, like you say, your head above water, and really keep your mindset strong as to we're going to reopen. We are going to reopen. Now, I talked to France a lot. I talked to Germany, Italy. I've talked to people that have opened across the world, you know, clients and old clients that I've had, etc. You know, and they all said to me, Valerie, it's like Christmas. It's literally like Christmas. We are manic. Once you open the door, it does not stop. It's literally like Christmas. We've got to build on that opportunity. We've got to really train our team to look at upselling, cross-selling. We need to talk about rebooking. That's all I want to hear from my therapist and my receptionist. If you've got a receptionist, rebook. It's your opportunity to tell your clients, do you know what, we're so busy, I need to see you in 6 weeks time. Let's put it in the diary now.
Definitely.
You've got to have that mindset of let's build on this reopening the way you want to build for the first time in a long time, because you've had that opportunity to take that step back. So going on to this whole negativity at the moment right now is not serving you purely. You know, be constructive, be part of the movements that the industry is doing, for sure, do that. But make sure you are ready and your team is ready to have that customer journey right, to make sure that you're rebooking, to make sure the team is saying the right thing. No more of this washy-washy. You know, when we do mystery shops, myself and my trainer, Terry, I mean, probably twice we've been asked to rebook. Twice.
Wow. Out of how many?
Well, in 2018, I did about 72 mystery shops.
And only 2 people asked to rebook you?
Asked to rebook, yeah. And
wow.
And same for consultations. And last year I couldn't do as many. I was busier, and I started to get to know people were screenshotting me to, what is she doing here? So, you know, Terry did, and same. Terry had about, I think she had about 60 mystery shops, and same, she hardly got rebooked. We've got to go and get that standard much, much higher. And don't assume that the client, you know, oh, she's going to look online. If I go to look online, I can look at everyone else in the area. You have the opportunity to build your clientele even better than before.
Absolutely.
So let's focus on that positive and that, you know, that opportunity, I guess, to build your clientele.
Definitely. Well, I think as soon as you rebook anyway with someone, they've then made a mental commitment to you then, haven't they? And most people are then going to follow through with that. And I think, again, as you say, we need to make sure that the staff are trained in the appropriate ways and that we're following up with everyone and, you know, automate what bits of it you can, because as you say, there's going to be some new people coming on and you still need to give them as much as a wow experience as you can within what the new normal looks like for now, because you want them to be coming back in the future when you can have all your great stuff on display again and your magazines are back and you can do all the little added touches that we all love so much. Yeah. But this is still going to be an opportunity. There's some interesting comments. A few people, Desiree said, I feel like I'm going to be starting a new job. And I think
yeah.
I think probably a lot of people that might be worth getting used to, like putting your uniform on again now, going around the house in your tunic a few times and stuff, because it is going to be unusual, isn't it? I mean, this is like 3-4 months now we're talking about here for a lot of people. That's a long time. Let's not forget about that. But again, I think it's almost like an opportunity almost to be reborn for some businesses. But in a better way.
100%. And you know, a lot of people I was talking to on an international level that have opened the doors again, you know, they're very much, Valerie is so emotional. You've got clients crying that haven't seen anyone for a long time. You've got, you know, and it's this whole kind of overwhelming kind of emotional, like, wow, we're so happy to have that connection again. And we need to remember, as a therapist, you have got an incredible connection with your clients. Nurture that. Is that word again? I'm just going to put it out there. Nurture that. Nurture the way that how important you are in people's lives, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And again, you know, I think that is one of the main reasons why a lot of people get into this industry on day one. It's not because they necessarily wanted to run a business. It's because they wanted to make people look and feel amazing and be part of that, you know. I think everyone has had the, the gushing thank you emails and letters and cards and stuff from clients and bunches of flowers and all sorts of things where we've made someone else feel incredible. And there's lots of other industries that just simply don't have that. And yet that's a day-to-day occurrence in our industry. And as you say, you know, it's something which your clients are going to have been missing, you know. I mean, bear in mind, a lot of other people are, been going through their own things, but they've all been locked up for the most part as well. But there's a lot of them that can't wait to escape their children for a few hours because they've probably driven them absolutely potty, you know.
Or their husband, not saying anything, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Or their giant man baby, or whatever it might be, who's driving them up the wall because he just plays Xbox all day. I'm sure there's plenty of that. So, on a slightly different slant, one of the other things I also quite was interested in your opinion on is the issue of funding. Because we got to this point now where I think a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, assumed that they would be opening this Saturday, even though, let's be honest, it never was really said that would be an actual date. It was always kind of a, we'll let you know. I think a lot of people assumed that meant I'm going to be able to open. But either way, that aside, this of course has left some people in a financial difficulty if they weren't already in enough of one. And outside of the kind of people falling through the cracks debate, of which the sad fact of the matter is that there are always going to be some people that happens to. It's impossible for the government to literally cover every single eventuality. That would just be crazy. But what do you feel about the people that maybe now have got to the point where it's like, well, actually, you know, I've come this far. I want to make sure I can reopen. Should more be done on a funding level, do you feel?
I do think there should be more done on a funding level for sure. And I think that's where the government has been drip feeding the furloughing only happened once, 3 weeks down, we're going to lock down. We didn't know about the furloughing. Then we had the furloughings. Oh my God. And then when do we get it? It's just, that's where the roller coaster's been, and the emotion, you had to really hang on tight to the emotion, that's going on. And I do hear a lot of horror stories and talk to people on horror stories on the rent, for example, and expectations of the rent and all of that. So it is tough. It's definitely tough out there. I've been focusing with my clients very much on, we don't know if we're opening in July. I've always said end of July purely because I was going on the furloughing. The furloughing is still the end of July, so we're going to do
that was a big flag for me. It was like, well, that looks to me like that could be an indicator.
Yeah, and also again, the way they're wording things, we will kind of review on the 4th of July, and I think people took it from gospel and just started booking, and all of that's kind of been happening. So that's where the unfairness starts happening, isn't it? But why is the hairdressers? The hairdressers have far less hygiene issues than we have in the beauty industry, 1,000%. So it's kind of difficult for sure. So focusing on your budget is very important. Knowing your cost when you are closed is super important, and also budgeting to make sure. And what we've been focusing on is online sales. Just sell online, and some people have done phenomenally well.
Yes,
with their consultation, with really nurturing the people. When I talk to friends who are in kind of big companies like Estee Lauder, retail company like Estee Lauder's, and the L'Oreal of this world, online has been incredible. Online as skincare is absolutely powering through. So we should be talking about your expertise. You should be talking to your clients about that expertise. You should be nurturing that and making really that input on your online sales for the first time in a long time. I've been talking to people, I've been wanting to do my online program. Well, here we go, here's your opportunity, do it now.
And I think also as well, it's like, this is your opportunity now, but couldn't that be a wonderful future income stream for your business? Don't do it now and then stop. It's like, do it now and keep going, right? This is a new income source for your business. Wonderful,
And also with the funding, so to go back to that, I think,
please,
again, let's wait a minute. There's been a lot of voices pushing the industry. We are waiting for a date. If it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks, can you survive 2 or 3 weeks? When you do reopen, create your budget so you understand how many clients you need to have to cover your costs and everything else. You will find a way. With the solution finding mindset, you will find a way. So definitely. Don't go on that negative spiral, because you are unique to you. So you will find a way to what you can create.
I love that. I think a lot of the time people forget about some of the other things that maybe they've been through in their life, which are probably much, much tougher. And actually, from a business perspective, good news, you'll probably not have to go through a period of not being open for 4 months, probably ever again in your business life. So if you can get through this, how easy is it going to be when you can open 52 weeks a year? It's going to be, and actually as well, maybe it's going to separate some of the wheat from the chaff as well, possibly. I hope that, again, this helps raise that overall standard, and, mentioning that again. And I think that maybe part of the regulatory thing, it all ties into that, doesn't it? Because the only people who wouldn't, from what I could imagine, the only people that wouldn't be happy or willing with that would be the people who know that their standards are either lower or they're operating outside of the remit of law already.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about pedicures, it should be okay to do pedicures. I visit some places, it's not okay to do pedicures on the best of time. And when you look at the smaller kind of shops, not to mention anything, again, don't want to be politically incorrect, but there is no hygiene standards in those nails salons. It's absolutely none. So how can the government separate all of that? They have to do a blanket.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. I do think the communication of the government, I do think, it's been sporadic. It's been a roller coaster. It's been, my God, let's hang on to this. But equally on the health and safety level, how can they look at the variety of businesses and just say, yeah, we can open on some treatment and some not. So I do think it's been a blanket. So we've got to kind of go back to you. your budget, your staff members. Do you need to reopen more hours? You know, a lot of people, we're reopening an extra hour night, or reopening on a Sunday, which we've never done before, or we're really focusing on, you know, maybe it is time to get a freelancer to hire that room. Maybe it is time to, you know, kind of think outside the box and focusing on what I can do outside with the online sales and everything else, and build your community of clients.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, I'm completely agree. We've had quite a few comments. If anyone who's watching wants to ask a question, then now would be the perfect time to do that. Lots of people are saying that their tunic trousers don't fit anymore. There's lots of that going on in the comments right now.
We should be looking for slimming clinics, then that's what we should be looking for.
Well, I think they might be popular as well after this, absolutely, because I don't know about you, but I definitely have seen more takeaway-based posts on my personal feeds from lots of people really indulging on that. I don't think all of the takeaways have struggled. But no, I do think that, so I think we're definitely singing from the same hymn sheet here, Valerie, as well, that one of the things that this seems to have uncovered is maybe that greater requirement for some sort of regulation on a more of an umbrella of it, I think, more than anything.
100%. You know, let's campaign for that. Let's just go. I don't know who to how. I think I'm going to leave my MP alone for now, for this week, because I think they're going to be inundated by emails. But I want to campaign for regulations. I think it's what needs to happen in the industry. You know, we've got to, a bit like the restaurants, they've got regulation for hygiene. We should do that. And I was talking to, interestingly, you know, therapists from Romania, for example, where they have to have a certificate. They have to go back every 2 years. You know, all of these things that should be happening in the UK. And to me, that's only highlighted. You know, we've got to sing into the same level. And at the moment, we've just got too many levels.
Absolutely. And especially where, as a country, we are so tight on so many other things. There are so many things in this country that you can't do, which, you know, the other, certainly European countries, have got a laissez-faire attitude, if you pardon my French. You know, whereas here, it's like, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, that's not allowed. This is England, don't you know, or Great Britain, or the United Kingdom, or whatever. You can't do that here. But yet, oh, it's okay to open a business doing this. And as you say, after maybe just doing some very questionable training, how can you learn enough in a day? You know, how is that possible? Who is it that believes that is okay, in fact? Because I'm not sure how they could argue for that in any way. As you say, it's like, you know, even if you wanted to do almost any other industry, there's always regulation for all sorts of things, especially here in this country. And yet, this is a whole industry whereby if people do things wrong, you can cause serious damage, disfigurement, death even to people, you know, and yet do what you like. I mean, not do what you like, but you get what I'm saying.
I know, and I think this is where the injustice feels like, hold on a minute, we are giving wellness and you know, we are there to support our community, and we're there to, you know, with the well-being of the world. Really, we are an industry that gives that well-being, and that makes people feel good. And in terms of crisis, we always a strong industry, because you might not be able to go on holiday, but you're going to afford to feel good and have your massage and all of that. So, you know, we are a very strong industry, and that's that instance of, you know, we feel really it's unfair. Why not us? Why not us? But in terms of health and safety, and I've had to deal with a lot of health and safety, you know, dealing with large teams, large spas, etc. On my first week at Bliss, you know, one of the customers fell down the stairs and there was no health and safety. Yeah. So, you know, I know about health and safety, you know, but quickly. And, you know, we've got to go back to that and go back to, is the therapist going to feel comfortable in that room with your client, feeling that everything is ticking the box? And do you feel comfortable with your clients and everything is ticking that box? So go back to what you believe as a leader, not, you know, with the government guidelines, and what you feel is going to be right for you.
Yeah, everyone is jumping on and basically all agreeing that they feel that there definitely should be some form of regulation. A lot of frustration for people who are like, you know, I've trained for years to do this thing to the best of my ability, and then how can someone else who has not done all of that, you know, be able just to jump straight in and compete with me, you know? And you really can understand this because, of course, in the eyes of the client, they don't necessarily understand any of that. Maybe they don't care in some instances.
Yeah,
They
but
simply don't understand.
it goes back to who do you want to attract in your salon, isn't it?
Yep,
Who do
absolutely.
you want to attract in your salon? Do you want the serious clients that take the hygiene and the whole kind of wellness and all the little touches that you're adding for that client? Or do you want a client that doesn't care and just have someone in their house and, you know, whatever? I mean, that's on another level, but
Well, you're right though, yeah.
there's always going to be people that do things on the ground. There's always going to be mobile hairdressers. There's always going to be mobile therapists. There's always going to be people that doing the things even though they're not supposed to. But that's not you. And you're gonna have if you're gonna have that high-end level, you know, really strong business-minded business and showing that to the world, then stay on that level and believe that level, because you will start attracting people, or you will attract people that believe in you and your business and what you represent.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, you know, like does attract like.
Yeah.
So if you're putting out there, as you say, these messages of responsibility, let's call it, high standards, you are going to attract people that also want that. This is why it's just so self-defeating, getting angry about the people who have maybe never closed, or the people who are now doing, as you say, £10 haircuts in the back garden in their shed, or whatever it might be, okay? Because the people they are going to attract are not your dream target client anyway, almost certainly. They're not going to be loyal to you. They're not going to be the sort of clients that then come and buy all of your products. They're not then going to take the more expensive, you know, higher end treatments or courses of treatments that you want to be selling. Let them go and do their thing, and maybe don't worry about it. There's enough people. I've always believed there's enough people out there for everyone. And if you're good at what you do and you are putting the right messaging out there, I believe you will always find your tribe, whatever it is that you do. And our industry is no different.
And shout about that. Shout about how amazing you are, your high standards, videos, you know, the support. And where I found it a little bit difficult over the past 4 or 5 days, you know, whenever that was, we couldn't open. As I said, I wasn't surprised at all. Because I kind of didn't think it was going to be the 4th of July anyway. But what really bothered me is we've forgotten to talk about the staff welfare and the staff wellness and the way we need to nurture those staff and nurture what they thinking and what they going through. How many therapists do I talk to who are like, I don't want to go back if we have to wear all this PPE. I'm a bit scared. You know, let's start nurturing them and really focusing on them and making sure that they are comfortable. The receptionist, how many receptionists I talk to, like I'm the one who's going to have to talk to all of the clients coming through, and I'm scared, you know, and I don't know, and what can I do, and So we've got to start looking at the staff wellness and the staff welfare more than ever. You know, we've got to incorporate all of these kind of, you know, when we talk about Generation Z and they want this and they want that. Now I've got 2 Generation Z at home, so I don't know what they like. But equally, do we blame them? They want that wellness. They want that work-life balance. They don't want to work like crazy. They want to have a sense of belonging. But most of all, they want that reassurance that I'm working and I'm going somewhere safe and it's going to be great and it's going to be, we can do this. That nurturing is so important. So when you see the anger coming out, that's your passion. That's great. But like anything, the passion can consume your thoughts and your mindset. And you've got to start thinking, okay, let's take a step back, breathe, go out for a walk, and let me answer or let me think what I need to do. You know?
I love that, particularly the going for a walk just for 5 minutes in some fresh air can do wonders for your mindset, I find, especially when you're a little bit under the collar, let's call it. Valerie, can you believe we've been going for an hour? So,
and no questions at all.
well, there's nothing that's really, lots of people commenting, mostly in agreement. And there definitely seems to be a huge issue with shrinking tunics. That's definitely one thing I'm getting from the, I guess I must have put it in too hot a wash or something. That's the only explanation that I can make out of that. Everyone has been super grateful for your time and your contributions, as I am, and as I always am, because it's always a delight to have you on, Valerie. And I can't help but think we might have started something here a little bit, because certainly from the comments, I think that there's an awful lot of people that would get behind some form of campaign for proper, regulation once this is, once we're at least back,
I think let's get back, let's get you busy, and let's get that budget sorted. And I do think, I mean, for me, it's always been, let's do that regulation that this is all highlighting. But the key to everything right now, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to kind of share my words, and I didn't want to again go live straight away, because I just wanted to take a step back and analyze a little bit what's going on. The key to it all is take everything with a pinch of salt, follow what you need to follow on the government guidelines, follow what you believe is right as a leader, and just do 1 hour of Facebook if you have to, and leave it alone for the day. Just join your live, and that's it after that, because your mindset will suffer. We are going to open soon, and you're going to be like, my God, I need more time. It's going to be manic.
Absolutely. And I think, as you say, restrict that Facebook input, everyone. But not only Facebook, actually all media. I know there's still some people that just watch Sky News 24/7. Sky is, they have their own agenda, and they are run for the profits of their shareholders, not necessarily to keep you accurately informed with everything that's going to help you out. So I think, as you say, one of the things I've been doing is I've been going into just a couple of select groups, and then getting the heck out of there again whilst I can, because it's a rabbit hole if you're not careful, folks. So I just want to again say, Valerie, thank you ever so much. It was a great privilege and an honor, and thank you for giving your time up to everyone this morning. It's been wonderful, and I'd like to say have a great day to everyone else. Good luck on Saturday to all you hair peeps. And let's hope that everything else, when safe to do so, is not far behind. And at least let's hope for some dates and some further guidelines will be good. Hopefully that's not too far away as well.
It will happen.
Excellent. No. Right, Valerie, you're a superstar. Thank you ever so much for coming on, and we'll look forward to having you on again very soon, I hope.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.